Okay, there we go. We are recording. Well, hello and welcome. We're going to do this webinar as, okay. I'm trying to figure out my views. Now we're side by side. What do we like for a view for recording? Before I jump in, is this good? Or do we want speaker view, probably the person who's talking? Okay, we're back. So initially we were going to do this as really focusing on Beautycounter for business owners and bloggers, but then we realized with kind of the world of COVID that life is very virtual right now. And so we can take a lot of what we had already planned for. Honestly, we planned for this like in January or February or something. And we wanted to tailor make it to anybody who wanted to learn how to run a business virtually. Because Natasha and I have over a decade of running a business online between our blogs and our businesses. And then between Beautycounter, I just got my 5-year anniversary notification. So that was in April. And then you are at over 2. Is it 2 or 3? Yeah. Okay. I thought it was 2. And then I was like, is it 3? It's just so fun. Doing business. So we wanted to really give you just the bigger vision now of adding in a Beautycounter business and how to really leverage things from a virtual perspective. So we're going to go through our stories, why we joined, what was kind of the just allure of Beautycounter and the mission and why we're so passionate about it. And then we're going to get into some kind of like little virtual training too, because I really want to give you guys some meat that you can be like, this, I see the vision for how we can really do this business online, because traditionally, and this isn't the case for our team at all, but a lot of Beautycounter's business is done like truly like person to person, in person, and doing pop-ups. And so we've done so much of our stuff virtually, but now everybody's transitioning to being online and doing things virtually. So I will pop in and start my story. So I am a chiropractor by education, by trade, and I was in practice for 6 years, I believe. And during that time, I loved what I did. And I knew though, just because of the way my brain worked, practice life with a family would have just taken such a toll on me. I would have gotten burnt out in like a week. I was already almost burnt out just being married with no kids. And we always wanted me home as much as possible with the kids. So from a financial perspective, I always had to work because of the massive amount of student loan debt that we had. But really, let's just be honest, a doctorate degree I had 2/3 of it myself, and maybe 3/4 of it myself. I think it's more like that. And so we just assumed that I would work in practice 1 or 2 days a week, and then I'd be home the rest of the time. And we could probably just make that work, because even though I had tons of dollars in student loans and a big degree in education, as a chiropractor and as an associate, you make very, very little. And so then on the side, I thought, why don't I just start up a blog? Because I have a lot to say. I was a paleo recipe blogger. Really, that's how I started. Wrote some health articles, and that got me excited to go, okay, this could be something. But the actual blogging world, you have to have hundreds of thousands to like 1 million plus views a month to really be making any sort of advertising income or anything. And I knew that I needed to do more, because I called it an expensive hobby, because it really was. 1 year I made a total of $1,000 in the entire year. And I bought a digital camera to take better photos. But I really wanted to, and I knew it was something to invest in and to build up. And then once we wanted to start a family, it was like, okay, how do I actually transition this into something that makes money? And so I was doing virtual health coaching. I did that in person. Why not take that virtually? And at that time, I had joined another network marketing company, direct sales company, which is awesome. I won't name it because I truly still love the company and the products. I could not make the business model work. It did not work for me. It was very, very complex. And I worked really, really hard and just wasn't getting anywhere. But I also saw that vision of what a direct sales company could do for our income, for our life, and for my whole business too. Because I mean, at that time I had endless hours, but I knew that I wouldn't have endless hours to work. And so once I got pregnant with my daughter, I had launched my podcast, launched my business, and just on the side started Beautycounter because somebody had told me about it and I loved the company. The thing that sold me hook, line, and sinker was the fact that Beautycounter tests for heavy metals, not once, not twice, 3 times, sometimes more. And their cosmetics, like everything, not like back when we first started, it's batch tested throughout the process, everything that comes to market. And so I was like, absolutely. I did heavy metal detox for myself, for my patients, and I knew it was a really big thing. If they realized that heavy metals were a big deal in cosmetics, then they were onto something that most companies weren't onto or didn't care about. And so I signed up as a consultant. I bought a lipstick and I thought this is going to make a great affiliate program. My goal is $200 a month and I have some place to direct people because I didn't have anything to direct people to in practice. What skincare, what makeup do I tell people to use? I don't know. And so that was really the start. Once I had my daughter, I realized I actually in my calendar did not want to see patients anymore, virtually even. And so that's when Beautycounter started to become something. And Natasha, you're going to get into it more, but the business model itself was so easy to understand, and it was exciting to bring people on. It was exciting to talk about, and I never for one second thought that I would be the person talking about lipstick and skincare. We just launched our Skin Twin, which is so fun. I put it on this morning and it still looks like I just put on my foundation. I just touched up my mascara, my lips, and my blush. And it was fun to talk about that today. And it was fun to do all that stuff. So I never thought that not only I would really, really enjoy doing this, but it has really like developed into way more than I thought it ever would or could. And so it has like far exceeded my my full-time income as a chiropractor, which is really cool because our goal for me financially and for me time-wise to be able to, once we had kids, spend as much time as I could with them. We homeschool very little. Natasha, you do more because you have kindergarten. We do preschool, but that is our goal. And always making time for that. But I needed to be able to make money to, number one, contribute to student loans, and number two, to be able to help fund our healthier lifestyle that is more expensive. Seeing the functional medicine doctors, our grocery bill, our supplements, things like that, so that we could be able to have some flex, which we would have had, zero flex. We would have been in the red if I didn't bring any money. And so our goal was not that high, and Beautycounter has really exceeded that, which is really blown us away, but is really cool to be a part of that, and then to love what I do so much too. So I think that's my story. I'll let you transition to yours, Natasha, too.
Okay. I love hearing your story again. So I started my blog in small business back when I had one baby and she was taking 4-hour naps every day. So I had loads of time to write blog posts, to create recipes. I was writing a cookbook at the time. I was photographing everything myself, editing everything myself, and basically putting myself through business school while my daughter was napping. And there was a lot of nap time hustle in those years. And on one hand, it was actually fine because I had the time for it, and it allowed me to get my feet wet in business, which was something that I didn't know I'd be interested in or good at, but I ended up really loving and really thriving in. It kind of used this part of my brain that I really had a knack for and really have enjoyed. But of course, life changes, and we had another baby, and shortly after having our second, made a really big life change. We decided to move across the country and help start a church. And we decided to homeschool our daughter, like Megan mentioned, for kindergarten. So all really good things, but the added stress of moving and getting established in a new area We also were renovating a 100-year-old building and doing ministry in a completely new cultural context, plus adding in the changes in our family, starting to homeschool, all of that. It just equaled more time constraints for me. So right at that time that we decided to move is actually when I decided to join Beautycounter. And I had been selling my meal planner in my small business for about 3 or 4 years at that point. And though it was making money, it really never got to the point where it made enough to sustain the business year round. I would have a big launch season, sell a bunch, then it would taper off for several months. And I really needed something else coming in to provide, or else we were just going to have to shut the business down because it wasn't becoming self-sustaining. So when I found Beautycounter, I was like, okay, I love these products and I already want them for myself. So I might as well get a 25% discount on the products that I want. And I also saw the bigger vision that if I started to share about the things that I was using and sort of sharing my journey along with that of switching to a non-toxic lifestyle, along with my journey of healing my body and creating a healthier home for our family. And if other people saw that and wanted some products for themselves, that I could earn 25 to 35% commission off of that, I really saw the earning potential in it. And so I decided to jump on in. But with all of those changes going on in my life, I no longer had childcare to work my business. And those super long naps went away. And I didn't have all that time to do whatever I wanted. I now had this little tiny amount of time to fit in work, but I still had this big desire for business, but just couldn't make that product-based meal planning business work at the forefront anymore. So here I was with this big passion for small business and helping women to make meal planning systems that worked for them and that they could stick to. And yet the time just wasn't there anymore to get those things done. The amount of time that it takes to scale and grow an online business and get it established, and many of you probably know this already, but it's tremendous. I mean, it can oftentimes cost thousands and thousands of dollars and hours of time away from your life. And if you have a family or another job that you're working, that's a really big deal. So while all those things were going on, Beautycounter is still in the background. I was giving it attention for sure, but I wasn't putting all of my working hours toward it. Yet it was the thing that was bringing in the most money for my business. So I had met and exceeded that initial goal of paying for my monthly business expenses. And it was actually starting to produce enough income to start to actually give an income for my family as well. So I kind of realized at that point, like, okay, if I can put the time that I do have, which now has shrunk, but if I can put that time into this and really do something with it, what could the results be for next year, for 2 years from now, for 5 years from now? What kind of financial growth could happen that, quite honestly, could allow me to fund even bigger dreams down the road, whether it's for business, for other creative pursuits, or just serving our community to a greater capacity. So that's really where I am now in my business. My work hours are in the margins of my day. They're usually during my kiddos' quiet time, which is for about an hour every day. And it's not much, but I put the majority of that work time into Beautycounter these days. And I've seen in just 2 years of being with Beautycounter just how much growth can happen when you really put consistent effort and show up. Even in a short amount of time, it can grow.
Mm-hmm. And then I would say, like, hour wise, initially 1 or 2 hours a week, right? When we start, not too much, there's not too much to do. And then now I would say, and you can answer after this too, Natasha, I run my business in 10 to 15 hours a week, also having my podcast too. And I would say, depending on the week, put 8 to 10, 8 to 12 of those hours into Beautycounter. Sometimes a little bit more, but I try to keep it at that limit, which there's a lot that goes into that little amount of time. I could easily double those numbers, and probably have scaled my business quicker too if I did that, but that is just not what we want for our family is for me to be working more. And I know that's the same for you. You can let me know kind of your hours too, because I know people are always interested in that.
Yeah, that's a really good question to bring up. I always tell people, girls on my team, like, I have never been, from the very beginning of starting with Beautycounter, I was committed to not hustling because I had spent so much energy on my other business pursuits and my blog and my meal planner business that I really got to the point of like basically burnout. And so I just told myself, like, I want to do this, but I'm not going to like kill myself over it, right? Just like spending all this time that I really don't have, because like I mentioned with my story, my time has shrunk over the years. It's just gotten less and less as my kids have gotten older and they need me in new ways, in different ways. And as we made this big like move and personal life change, those hours shrunk. I lost my childcare, which, you know, I would go for half a day once a week and get a whole bunch of work done. I no longer had that. So now I would say I spend about 15 hours a week on Beautycounter, kind of combined with, you know, that focused work hour, hour and a half in the middle of the day, and then, you know, margin time throughout the day. On busier weeks, like when we have a big product launch or like the holidays or something, it's probably closer to 20. But it definitely wasn't at first. It was more like 3 to 5 hours a week on Beautycounter. And it's just, as I saw the return on investment for my time, I started putting more time and energy into it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And that's what happens. Your business grows, the amount of customers that you have grow, your team grows, and there's just a different need there.
Right.
When you were like in holiday times, I was like, I think I put like 20 hours in already this week because we had a big launch and there was
Right.
a lot that went into that and a couple of evenings that I worked, but that's not every week. Tomorrow, like my plan for tomorrow, because we're doing our webinar tonight, is like, I'm only going to work for like an hour or something just to like tie up the week, because we can, and we can really, I don't want to say like, you know, we have such flexible hours. Yes, we do, but we have to fit them in. If I was like, hey, my business is amazing and look at, it still goes when I do nothing, and you do nothing for a month or two, like you don't really have a business anymore. It's the same as showing up for brick and mortar, but just different. The work, I don't know who said this. I've heard this many times. The work is flexible, but not optional. And so we do have to fit that in. So I know that was maybe a little like extra stuff, but I wanted to put that in because people do have that question a lot. Also, I wanted to just give a little bit, we touched on this, but with Beautycounter, and we've seen this for a lot of business owners on our teams too, where they have added Beautycounter because they love it, but they also saw it as the income that comes in can be used to really grow and to fuel other business endeavors. So you can be the investor in this really cool business idea that you have that you didn't have money for before. And even if you're not a business owner, it's the same concept. If you're like, we really live paycheck to paycheck right now, and we just want to do like one family vacation a year. We want to be able to like send our kids to a private school because that's what a lot of people want to do, and there's an expense to that. Or we want to be able to fund that healthier lifestyle because it is more expensive. Whatever those things are, that's a way, even though Beautycounter is so much more than the paycheck that you get, it's really good to realize that you are working a job. You should get paid for the work that you're doing too. And it can go towards those things that you really do have that like the passion about or a vision for, and you can really help with that. Okay, do you want to talk about multiple streams of income?
Yeah, let me talk a little bit about why it's important to have multiple streams of income. So this, I think, is really important whether you're an entrepreneur or not. So think with me for a minute about a bridge. So just a regular wooden bridge. If you have different streams of income, you can think of those as like the legs holding up your bridge, which might be your business or your personal finances or whatever. But the job of the legs is to support the whole structure, right? So that's what your different sources of income can be, or those legs holding up that structure. So with that, it provides somewhat of a safety net. You think husband losing his job, unless you have multiple sources of income or a very robust emergency savings plan, then you're getting yourself into debt, which is the case for a lot of people, especially right now. And that it's not always possible to avoid this, for sure. We've definitely been there ourselves in our family, but we want to avoid that if we can. So we want to know that if one of those legs gets pulled out, that our structure isn't going to completely crumble, that it's still going to stand because we have other sources of income holding up that structure, right? Like I said, whether that's your personal finances or your business, it's the same. It goes for both. It can also allow you to pay down debt. So Megan, you touched on this, like when you talked about, needing to fund your healthy lifestyle, but also paying off your student loans. For us personally, my husband's job alone could not provide the additional income that it would take for us to snowball our debt and our savings plan. That money has to come from an outside source. So we tried for a couple of years for my husband to pick up contracted work. He had his own contracted business where he would work weekends and evenings. And completely honestly, it almost destroyed our marriage during those times because we had zero time left over to talk, to connect, to process. We had these little babies, and it just wasn't healthy for our family. So on the flip side, having a business that I can do that provides additional income, but that can fit into our kids' quiet times or early mornings or in the margins throughout my day, it puts our family and our marriage in a much healthier place and gives us that extra income that we need to pay off of our debt and also to save for bigger needs more quickly. Okay, it also allows you to build sinking funds. So get a little like budget nerdy with me, but sinking funds are when you put a little bit of money into a budget category over time. And they begin to add up. So some examples would be like your Christmas fund or a vacation fund, or even saving up for increased oil bills and heating bills over the winter if you live in New England like me. But having that extra, yeah, you too. But having that extra income coming in to help save for even those what seem to be smaller areas, they still are very much needed areas in our budgets, right? And if you think about your business too, it's like saving up to take a course or saving up for like training or to go to a conference, things like that. Okay. So it also, having an additional stream of income also allows you to just take more risks and build more dreams. So you might have that big business dream that you want to accomplish. You might want to write a book, or you might want to host a podcast, or you might want to open up a brick and mortar storefront. You want to own another home potentially and use that as a rental property to serve, your community. Whatever it may be, having a consistent and scalable income is going to allow you the opportunity to see some of those bigger dreams realized that do require more resources to get started. Mm-hmm. So I also want to share some details kind of what it looks like to be a Beautycounter consultant and just a little bit more of what that could look like for you. A lot of online content creators will utilize Beautycounter as an affiliate program, which is a really wonderful way to do it because the way that our compensation plan is broken down, you really can use it that way. So if you're someone that already is sharing products online, things that you love and benefit from, you snap a picture of that book that you read that you loved, or that hair product that like changed your hair, whatever it was. If you're doing this already on social media or even in your real life in conversation with friends, then the ability to have a personal link to share with those people that you can earn a commission from is huge. Beautycounter also does not require us to hold inventory. In fact, it's actually against our policy that you do. So that's a question that I get often, like, I don't want to start something and then be stuck with all this stuff in my closet or whatever. That is not going to happen with Beautycounter. We don't do business that way. So the products that you purchase at enrollment or anytime in the future, they're for your personal use. So some people do like to get additional full-size products to drop off at people's homes for them to try or to create samples from, but you really don't need to do that. Beautycounter produces some really beautifully packaged and reasonably priced samples, if that's how a part of how you want to grow your business, which Megan is going to get into in just a minute. So the products that you purchase at your discount, your consultant discount of 25% off, they're just for you. Or if you want to give a gift to a friend or something, they're not for you to sell. People purchase through ordering online, which is just, it streamlines the whole process and makes it so much easier.
And if they
We
have
also,
a problem with a product or they don't like a product, then they go through Beautycounter for a return, not you.
exactly, right.
Really difficult. Yes. So that's
Yeah.
all done via Beautycounter because we have a 60-day return policy. So
Exactly. And if you've run your own product-based, especially if you've been shipping out like physical products that you've produced, which is what my business has been in the past, that takes out a significant chunk of work that you're not shipping, you're not inventorying, you're not taking the photographs, you're not doing any of that stuff necessarily, unless you want to take your own pictures, but like all of that is provided for you. So, you know, we don't have to do any of that stuff. We just have to share what we genuinely love and be educators, right? So we also sell a consumable product, which means that unlike some other companies that we could potentially partner with a company like Beautycounter, you're going to be getting repeat sales, okay? Because everyone needs their makeup and everyone needs their skincare. People are going to be running out of their face wash, their body wash, their shampoo, etc. Right? So we have a wonderful product that we can offer for people over and over again. And as you continue on in your Beautycounter journey, you've got new clients as well as your old clients making repeat purchases. And so you can see how your business can kind of grow from there. I also have to say that the work that we do is simple. It's really simple to implement. It's not always easy. You still have to show up for a job. You know, I might have a couple hours a day to invest in this job, but it is a job and I do want to earn paycheck from it. And so I show up for it as such, but it's extremely easy to implement. Along with that, we have a simple business structure and compensation plan that makes it really easy to earn. So there's no minimum amount that you need to sell every month to get paid. You sell one lip gloss, you earn 25% commission off of that. I think that this happens to be really happens to be one of the aspects of Beautycounter that makes it so appealing and an easy addition into an already going business or blog or whatever, because if you already have something established, it's not like you have to add on this other thing that's very complicated. It's very manageable. It's very simple to kind of add on and have that be just a supplement. Like I mentioned before, just another leg holding up that structure. So Megan, do you want to share a little bit now about sales strategy?
mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes. And then, there's one more thing. Having been, and I feel like you can relate to this, having been a business owner I created digital products or I coached people in their health. You and I have talked about this, I've heard this elsewhere. Even if I still did all that stuff, having a direct sales, or in Beautycounter, we have a direct retail model, but having a business like that, I think that all business owners, especially virtually, should really look into that or really seriously consider that, because of the way that you can have that residual income to be able to put towards other things. Because I remember when I was hustling to put together, and it really was like a 2-month hustle, and I was very burnt out putting together my academy that I used to sell. It was so much work and I had no additional money coming in at that point. Like, I needed to be a big launch. It needed to be something that brought money in. And now a lot of the additional things other than Beautycounter that I do, I'm able to fund I can fund my podcast because I have the time. I choose not to take the time to do all of the podcast sponsors and really, really work to build that up. But I just don't, because I want to give this content to women. I want to be a resource, but I can fund my own podcast, which is just a really cool thing. And it actually saves me a lot of time. And I do my business, is one other thing I was going to say, with about 5 hours of childcare a week, which I haven't had for 3 months. I did yesterday, finally, with everything going on. So I could still work my business without it. It's just nice to have some focused time. And that's for us in our family, that number, like it's 1 day a week, a handful of hours, that's what we feel comfortable with. And so you can really, though, if your vision was to scale this business to 20, 40 hours a week, you could do that very easily. There's so much stuff to do and so many ways to grow. So we are not the only examples of the hours to work too.
And
Okay.
with that, I just want to mention too, really quickly before you get into this, that, if you have the time to give 20 or 40 hours a week, that's great. A lot of people don't have that time. That doesn't mean that your paycheck is necessarily reflected in that. You could be working a shorter amount of hours and making a full-time paycheck with Beautycounter, right? Depending on how you do your business and how focused, it's more about the focused, consistent action over time than I think it is saying like, well, I don't have 10 hours a week to give. Okay, if you have 5, give that. And like, what you're talking about now, that having childcare and whatnot, it's like, this is a very significant source of income for your family. So that necessitates saying, okay, I'm setting aside this time. I'm now putting more time into it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Definitely. Okay. So I want to give you guys just a little like sales training, what we do in our group with our team, because I wanted to take these concepts and teach them virtually, because this is what we do. And so I think that so often when we do any sort of business, a lot of business is done person to person, in person. And now, just 2 days ago, our state finally lets us be with 10 people or less, ideally outdoors, and social distancing. We have no restaurants open. We have no coffee shops open. You cannot meet people in a traditional sense. You cannot host a pop-up and show people products physically. I mean, you can drop them off at their door, follow up with them later. And so I really want to just give you some just good training and good kind of meat to think about how you could start doing this business right now. And so number one thing that I love, that I have really built my business on, is samples and putting together those samples. So that would be, in essence, a way, and I've always looked at this, instead of hosting a big event or saying, hey, do you want to go get coffee? Do you want to grab lunch? I don't grab lunch with my good friends when our state is open because I don't have time. We'll do play dates here and there with 2 small kids with limited childcare. I can't bring them to the coffee shop. It would not be fair to them to like be stringing them along to all these business things. So I had to figure out a way to do it differently. And so that's my, like, here's my event. Come and try the products. That's me saying, let's grab coffee together. No, I'm going to send you the products. And so I do once a month, probably a pretty significant amount of samples. It does take quite a few hours to put them all together, to get everybody's information out there, but it pays off so much. I make sure that I take really good notes, good follow-up, which I learned from my own mistakes when I would just send samples and think sales would come. I did not follow up. I didn't even write down who I sent samples to. So do not do that. It's a really bad strategy and a waste of time. I'm sure they amounted to something, but now I make sure that I really want to know that when I have a touch point with a person, that even though it's via email or via text, that it's as if we're in person. Hey, how did you like those? Did they work? How did your skin work? And that's how I build up a lot of my new customers that become repeat customers, is sending samples. And just like Natasha said, we've got some beautiful, really well-priced samples now. When I started, we had just a couple samples of our skincare line, and they were big and bulky. And so you still had to ship them in a bubble mailer and take all that time. And so now we can put them in envelopes, and there's many products for them to try. It tells them how to use it. It's really cool and streamlined process. And they're so well branded, like Beautycounter does everything. And so we can be able to do that. And then if you like in-person events, if you say, hey, I want to get a group of ladies together and we want to do charcoal masks, or we want to talk about makeup, and there's been really like cool like pop-up ideas where a makeup artist will come in and color match and all these things. Well, we can't do that right now in person. I don't know if maybe some states you're able to. And so what I've done is and Natasha, I do want you to talk about what you do too, because we do different online events. I love doing workshops online and talking about how to build a skincare routine, how to do like at home detox / kind of like spa nights at home. I like to talk about applying makeup, and I have, for me, been able to utilize the like group of women that are already on my email list and follow me on social media and follow my podcast, and be able to do those workshops for them, because that's what I really love to do. Where some people might say, I don't want to be on video, I don't want to do that, I can't wait till I can be in person with people. That's not my natural. I have always done talks, like when I was a chiropractor, like probably like twice a month, I would do an event and a talk in the office about something. I really like to do that. And so I've been able to transition something that I love doing that works well for me, which, like I said, for you, you might go, I don't want to do that. And that's fine. You can make this business yours. But I love to be able to connect with people, and even though it is virtual, to have that workshop experience and do some teaching. But Natasha, I do want you to talk about your events that you do, because they're a little different. They still are online.
Yeah, so when I first started, I built my business on doing pop-ups on Facebook. And I basically just shared like the mission of Beautycounter and what we were doing, just did a little bit of education on how to swap out for safer products. And so that just is gathering a group of women virtually and going live. I too really love to teach online, and I love it. So, I did one of like detoxing your skin and your home, and just laid out all the tips of like, and resources for like, how do you detox your home of all of the chemicals? And this is something that I'm personally very interested in, and have done the research in and have walked through for our family. So I knew a bunch of stuff already. I just typed it all up and shared that. Would share a little bit about the products, the things that could like detox their skin, particularly for like, breakouts and things like that. More recently, something I've been loving doing is sending out samples and then doing a Zoom call or like a FaceTime call and sort of like explaining what that sample is going to do. So I sent out samples of the overnight resurfacing peel, and then gathered just a small group of 10 women together one night, and we all did our nighttime skincare routine together. And so I like told them, wash your face before the call, don't put anything else on, we're going to apply the peel together. And as we do that, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what it does to your skin. I got all that information from an amazing esthetician in our team. It's not something that I had to do hours and hours of research for. I think it was like 30 minutes of prep and then like a 20-minute phone call. And I've loved that because it gets the samples out. I just did the exact same thing for the new All Bright C Serum, sent a bunch of samples out, and then we got together and did our morning skincare. And I explained what the All Bright C Serum was doing, who it's good for, what the results that you could see, and just had a conversation with them, and it got them trying the sample. And then I'm able to follow up with them afterwards, but also kind of have that more of a connection time, which I really love.
Mm-hmm. I know, I love that connection too. And you did kind of, you talked about the next one that I'm gonna talk about too, which was so perfect, is having those conversations. And so though it could be totally your thing to get in front of somebody at a coffee shop and just like have coffee and chat Beautycounter. I don't have that time. I don't really make that time either. And none of us can do that. And so that's where, if there's somebody interested in joining Beautycounter, in trying samples, I love to hop on the phone or hop on a Zoom call, because that is my one-on-one. I can schedule that in. And so, I mean, even though Zoom, my husband works actually in like cloud stuff and software things. And I think Zoom, which we're on right now, it went like 10x in like March. It's number of people or more. Like the numbers are insane. I'll get them wrong. I want to say like from 10 million to 100 million or something. I'm probably wrong. It went crazy. So now everybody knows Zoom. Everybody knows these digital collaboration tools, but we've been using them for a long time because it's a way to connect without being in person. And what's really awesome about that too is our teams. I mean, Natasha, you and I just met a couple months ago, which was pretty much the week before the world shut down.
Yeah.
That's not a lie. Like the world shut down, and we had met for the first time 2.5, not even, maybe 2.5 months ago. But we had connected since we were pregnant with, well, my first, your second, and have been on our Beautycounter team together for 2 years. And so you're really able to connect and build relationships with people all over the country. It doesn't have to be just your neighbor or the person in your town, which is amazing to have local, teammates and customers and everything too, but it allows you to truly connect and to see somebody while reaching people all over the country. And then we also have our like Canadian, we can, what am I trying to say? Anyways, we're open in Canada too. So you can sell and recruit in Canada, but no other place, just the US and Canada. So our market, that's what I was looking for. We have our market in Canada. So that's ways that you can really leverage business online. And it's what we have done and what we do on a daily basis. And just like you said, Natasha, the thing that builds a strong Beautycounter business is consistency, showing up, doing the work, and not just, and I'm going to raise my hand and say I have been guilty of this in online business numerous times, not just scrolling social media or making a pretty graphic, because that doesn't build your business, but really engaging. And that doesn't necessarily mean it will always be comfortable. We do have to step outside of our comfort zone. But if you are committed to saying, I do see the vision, I like these products, I love this company, I get it, and you each day or many times a week, doesn't mean you can't go without, you can have a day off, but every day be moving your business forward and to be doing things that are having conversations and learning more and sending out samples and doing those income building activities, your business grows. We have both seen it. And I will say for me, I am not the 0 to 100 business grower. Like I do not grow quickly. I do not have the ability to like burn myself out while being productive. Like I have a very low threshold for that. I am the slow and consistent in anything that I do. And so I can say with that, over the course of time, I have built a really strong business and have such a fun team and love adding people to our teams. And so it's just been a really, it's been a really cool thing to see. So I don't know if you want to add anything else in before I get into just a few more consultant details and wrap up.
Yeah, the one thought that I had as you were saying that, Megan, is that, we've been doing our business on social media. Social media is a big platform for us to connect with people, to be able to offer our services and our education and our products, you with your health information and your podcast, and me with my meal planning tips and, all of that. And so what social media does is it offers an opportunity. I feel like it's a tool to create relationships, to create conversations. There are people that I talk to and they, this has nothing to do with Beautycounter necessarily, but they DM me and we are kind of in a constant conversation about all kinds of different stuff as they respond to what I'm sharing and I respond back to them. And we sort of build this like trust and relationship in a way, right? I mean, that's how you and I became friends.
Yeah.
We started like following each other when we were pregnant at the same time with our kids, and just enjoyed what each other were putting out there, and like started talking with each other about things and connected over business and health and so many things. But that is how I've been able to grow my business, because I'm sharing my life, and intertwined in that is Beautycounter. And then people send me a DM and it's like, hey, does Beautycounter have a sunscreen for this? Does Beautycounter have like something for my rosacea? Does, this and that? And I'm able to serve those people and follow up and have those conversations. So like we've talked about so many times, in this pandemic kind of landscape, whatever this world is like going to look like and what it looks like currently, there's not a lot of face-to-face. And if you already are, you might be a mom staying at home, or you might be running an online business and blogging, and there's not a lot of time, but we can do a lot. Like our kids are both in bed, right? Like they're all in bed right now, and we're able to do this call, right? So the internet allows us so many more opportunities to connect with people. And that's just, I just feel like it's an amazing tool to leverage for connections. So.
Mm-hmm. So I want to go into just a couple consultant details, and please reach out to one of us, whoever invited you to the call, sent you this replay, and we can give you so many more details. We want to get on the phone with you or Zoom and chat more for sure. But these are some really quick, frequently asked questions that we think you need to know, because we want to give you that information. So to join Beautycounter this month, we have for the $50 enrollment fee, and you get this amazing digital toolbox in how to start your business. So we gave you a lot of information here, and Beautycounter has literally been working tirelessly since this began to equip us as consultants to bring our businesses virtually. And I mean, I have learned a lot, even though I already do this business online. It's been really cool, the stuff that they equip us with, and they wanted to pass that on to new consultants so that you feel really ready, because our previous enrollment, which was our enrollment kit, which was great, was equipping you to go and meet people face to face. And now we have that digital opportunity for you. So when you sign up, it's $50. You have the option of purchasing a starter kit at a very discounted rate. As consultants, we get 25% off. And then we make, depending on how much we sell, between 25 and 35% of our commissions. And we can do comp plan training in the future with you guys. We'll get into no more details than that. And so if you just wanted to sign up as an affiliate program to add to your blog, that's a really good payout. It's an affiliate program. But once you can get those products, that isn't inventory. The starter kits are not inventory. They are for you to use to try to, give away to somebody if you want to send any additional samples, share with friends, and you get a great discount, because it's really amazing to be able to try the products, because when you try the products, you can truly recommend them. When I first started, I did not get a starter kit, and it was later on when I was like, oh my goodness, I finally got my hands on products. That's when my business really started to grow, because I could actually talk about it and recommend things to people. So every 6 months, you do need to meet a $1,200 minimum. And that always seems like a really big number to people. And if you are, and it also includes your personal purchases. So your starter kit goes towards that. And all of your personal purchases, it is not that much money, as long as you are sharing and making a couple sales a month, you will very easily hit that number. And so what that means is, as consultants, which is very exciting, we do not have to buy a certain amount of product per month. You don't have to buy a certain amount of product per month to get paid and to get your commission. You just have to make that $1,200 minimum in 6 months, which I feel like is very achievable and not something that will stress you out as a consultant either, where it's like you must meet this certain thing per month. You don't have to do that. If you have one really slow month, the next month is really good. You still get paid for that. Did I miss anything there?
I don't know. I don't think so.
It's like, I want to make sure that I didn't. Okay. Well, we are going to wrap up. We are so thankful that you attended tonight, that you were on here, that we got to connect with you, and that we really got to make this not just for business owners, but to talk about what we do every day online and virtually. So any questions that you have, reach out to us. There will be a replay email going out too with some more information in there, but we are here for you, and want to be a resource to answer more questions about joining Beautycounter as a consultant, because we obviously are so passionate about it, love the company, love the business, and all of the things that it has really allowed and afforded for us in our lives. So we just love connecting with you guys.
Yeah. If there are any questions, I mean, people can pop them in now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There is a question here. Do you want to touch on that? Do you see?
Right. Yes, I did see it. I touched on part of it.
Okay.
I feel like, yeah, because I touched on the hours. So I think we're good.
Okay. Great.
Okay.
Well, thanks so much for joining us.
Bye.